Hi everybody, it's Tatiana, and today I am doing my wrap-up for the Getting Graphic Readathon, which took place yesterday, Saturday, June 17th. This was hosted by Caitlin from Kitty G and Eleanor from Eleanor Reads Books. Sorry, I am like scatterbrained. I just got home and I wanted to go ahead and do this because I almost twisted my hair back up before I did this video. But I said on Snapchat that I was going to record this video when I got home from church so that I could at least have one video go up this month without my hair in a ponytail. So I am going to go through all of the things that I read for the Getting Graphic Readathon. This is going to be a tad bit lengthy because this is the only time I'm going to talk about these. So if you're in it for the long haul, get you a drink and chill. The first set of comics that I read were the comics that I got on Free Comic Book Day this year. This was my first time participating in Free Comic Book Day, and I kind of sort of understand the way it's like the purpose of the free comics now. I go to my comic book store on a regular, so I don't necessarily need to do this again. That sounds kind of funny, but for the purpose, if you are not aware, Free Comic Book Day, the comics that you get are set aside for Free Comic Book Day. They all have that at the top. And what they are basically is a little taste of either that series that you're getting or a catalog from the company, the publishing company for the series that you're getting. So I'll go through them. So first and these are not in order of how I read them. They're actually probably more in order of how I like them, with the least like being at the bottom, which was I Hate Image. This is a spinoff of I Hate Fairyland, and if this is what the Fairyland series is like, I'm not into it. It's greatly grotesque. I am into gore in comic form, so in that vein, I liked it. But yeah, the point of the story was lost in the story because of the way that the story went. And I guess that it wasn't supposed to happen, because if it happened, then the I Hate Fairyland series would not continue. But yeah, it was alright. Then I read Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This was also okay, and what it does is give you a whole bunch of background information. And I didn't see the new movies that have come out for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I don't know if it's a recap of what happened in the movies or a recap of the reboot of the comic series. But it's a recap mostly, and then a little bit of something that happens with, of course, the to be continued at the end. What I mostly didn't like about this is, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is my childhood. And my childhood was full of 70s and 80s and 90s slang. I don't like the modern day slang coming out of the Turtles' mouths. I didn't like it, like talking about throwing shade, and I don't like it coming out of people's mouths. So coming out of the Turtles' mouths, I really didn't care for it. Next is Bad Machinery. And I kind of get what this is, like, supposed to be a little bit of, it's supposed to be like a slice of life mystery comic. So it's a little bit of Giant Days, a little bit of Harriet the Spy, a little bit of, I'm trying to remember all of the ones that popped in my head as I was reading it. But yeah, it's slice of life, coming of age, mystery, and actually I like this better than than I Hate Image and TMNT, but not enough to continue with the series if I have to pay for it, if that makes any sense. That makes sense, because you all buy books too. If it's at my library, then I would certainly like to read more of it just to see where it goes after this. The mystery that's introduced is introduced more towards the end of this freebie. So I kind of want to see what is going on with that and with the changes that are happening with the characters, but it was kind of kitschy and not necessarily original. The next on the How I Liked It list is a comic rendering of James Cameron's Avatar. Basically what this is the Avatar movie with musings from Jake. Like you're getting more of his cerebral development, his thoughts, in the snippet that we get here. If the rest of the series that is going to take place is like this, watch the movie and you're good. I have the movie. I've watched the movie. I don't need to watch it. I mean, I don't need to read it. So, yeah. Next on the like list for these is Star Trek. This is Star Trek The Next Generation. The title one on here is Mirror Broken, but this is actually a preview of, or a snippet of 4 different series in the Star Trek comic universe. The Mirror Broken was my favorite of the ones that are on here, and it actually starred a character that I did not like at all in the TV series, and for me to have still liked it, that tells you how good it is. The other that is previewed in here is there's a snippet from the Boldly Go series, which has the characters like Chris Pine from the reboot of the Star Trek movies with Captain Kirk. And then there's a Star Trek and Green Lantern crossover, Stranger Worlds, which was okay, and this is also with the movie Kirk reboot. So, yeah, but of these, and it could be because I am in love with Captain Jean-Luc Picard and Patrick Stewart, but yeah, of these, the Mirror Broken in here, I'm missing one. But of these, yeah, the Mirror Broken is full of the characters that I'm more familiar with, even though I did watch the original Star Trek. But, yeah, full of characters that I'm more familiar with, and I just really like that story better. Next, and I liked all 4 of these, but some are more dense than others, so I'm going to do the least dense, which is Guy Delisle's, I don't know if that's the right way you're supposed to say his name, but Hostage, and then there's a preview also of Poppies of Iraq after the snippet of Hostage. I want to read Hostage in its entirety. Guy Delisle, if you're not aware, is an autobiographical graphic novelist. He has I think 4 or 5 autobiographical or biographical graphic novels that are out about his travels to different countries or cities, and one I know is Jerusalem. I think there's one with him in Saudi Arabia. So, yeah, that I haven't read any of those, but Hostage is his telling of a guy who was in Doctors Without Borders who was kidnapped, and it's the doctor who's given him his experience during his being kidnapped, and Guy Delisle is relating that information and incident to us in comic graphic form. And this is not my kind of story, but oh my goodness, just a little bit that you got, which is literally just the doctor sitting in the room and processing the fact that he has been kidnapped, that he is handcuffed to this radiator, that, you know, one person comes in one time a day, he gets the chance to go piss, poop, they bring him food that's crap, and it was so compelling. So I want to read more of this. I'm going to check to see if it's at my library. I'm not going to buy it because, again, it's not my thing, so it's not something that I would read more than once. So I'm going to see if I can get it through somebody's library. Then is Wonder Woman. I'm not a DC comic fan, but I really liked this. This is part of the DC Universe Rebirth is what they're calling it. Yeah, and I really enjoyed this. It's Diana in the Amazon, and yeah, I liked it. Kind of surprised that I liked it. I have not gotten to see the movie yet. That's going to happen. Then Lady Mechanica, and this is by Joe Benitez, and I was very surprised how much I like this. I am not, so I think. I really haven't read much steampunk, but as far as I'm aware, I'm not that big of a fan of steampunk. Like, my extent of steampunk is Disney's Atlantis. But I really like this. I really enjoyed the artwork in it. It follows the story of a girl who doesn't know her beginning, but she is a human machine hybrid, hence Lady Mechanica, and she's known across the world for her badassery. And so, yeah, this is some of the artwork, which I didn't show you in the other ones, and I'm not going back to do that. So, oh well. But I really enjoyed this. I will probably check this out. And then the last is Rick and Morty. Who doesn't like Rick and Morty? That's all that I need to say about that. Just who doesn't like Rick and Morty? If you don't like Rick and Morty, keep it to yourself, because I don't care. So those are all of the comics from Free Comic Book Day. And next, on to the comics that I own. Single issues. So I read issues 2 and 3 of Black Panther, World of Wakanda. If you're not aware, this is a prequel series to the Black Panther comic series, but you don't have to, like, it started after, they started working on this after Black Panther was created, so you don't have to read this first, and it's actually better if you read Black Panther first, because you don't have a connection to the people in this, because it's the secondary and tertiary characters. So you don't have a connection to these characters without having read some of Black Panther first. The issue that I am coming into it with this is because I thought the Black Panther comic was ending at issue 11. Wrong. So now it's reading them simultaneously. That's probably not going to work for me. So what I have decided to do is that I'm going to get both World of Wakanda and the next 2 that I read, which was Black Panther 12 and Black Panther 13. I am going to switch from doing single issues to doing the graphic trades. Actually, the next graphic trade will start with number 13, but that's okay. I will just own it twice, because it's better for me to wait than having both at the same time, because stuff is getting confusing, and there are characters that are in World of Wakanda that you don't really see in Black Panther. Yeah, my brain. So yeah, those are all the single issue comics that I read. On to the graphic novels. I read Lazarus Volume 5, which I loved, and every time I get to the last issue of Lazarus, like, the only thing that I could say out of my mouth is, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Why do you all do this to me? And just so that you know who you all are, Greg Rucka, Michael Lark, and Santi Arcus. Mostly, though, I think it's Rucka who's the issue, because I'm going to have to wait a whole nother year. It's been more than a year since Volume 4 came out. I'm going to have to wait a year or more for Volume 6 if they are keeping with their time track. It's too long to wait for the next graphic novel, for the next binder. It's too freaking long. There's always the things that are introduced, and not even people who are introduced, but events that are introduced that you just don't want to wait you don't want to have to wait to find out what happens next. And what's going to help me with having to wait another year is I feel super duper slow because I am 5 volumes in and I just realized that what I thought were flashbacks are not flashbacks. If you are reading the series, you know what I mean. Yeah, so I'm going to have to read, I'm going to enjoy, because I have a whole nother fucking year before volume 6 comes out, but I am going to reread volumes 1 through 5 again, because I need to reread them in the context of what I realized in volume 5. So it was like I felt so slow once I realized it, because literally it was like it just had to be laid out flat in front of me for me to obviously see. Like, why didn't you realize this before? Next, I read Rasputin, Volume 2. This is The Road to the White House. I enjoyed this. The reason why I was worried about continuing with this, because I like the story of Rasputin. As a fixture or person who had something to do with the Bolshevik Revolution, and I said this when I read Volume 1. Okay, so skip ahead. I was worried about reading this because I did not want to really experience Rasputin being given a whole new history as a fixture in today's society. And so I was kind of nervous about continuing on with Volume 2. However, Volume 2 is set in today's society, but it's still Rasputin given his story, so it's told in flashback. I liked it. There's more dialogue that takes place in Volume 2 than what took place in Volume 1. You get more information about his involvement with the Romanov family and some things of legend that were believed back in the day, like my childhood back in the day, about the fate of some of the Romanov children. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad that it's mostly told in flashback, and it's him telling his story to someone else during our time. So, yeah, liked that. Next, I read Postal Volume 4. I maybe should have stopped at Volume 3. I don't think I'm going to continue with this for 2 things. One, this was a volume that was heavily saturated with Aryan, white power, white supremacists, and their vendetta against a person who lives in Eden, who was also a white supremacist who changed his ways, so to speak. Not the time for me to be reading that in light of events that have been going on lately. Just not the time for me to be reading that. So that's issue number 1. 2, there's a snippet at the back of this graphic novel. The reason why I started reading this graphic novel is because a series that the creator, is it Brian Hill or Matt Hawkins? Yeah, Brian Hill's the writer. So a series, and there's another one that he's involved in called Think Tank, and I think some of these characters also come from Think Tank, but I never read Think Tank. The reason why I found out about this is because a series that I was reading called The Tithe had a snippet at the back of it about one of the characters from The Tithe being sent to Eden. And if you don't know, if you haven't seen my previous videos, Eden is a last resort stop for criminals who have like very little social redeeming value. This is their last chance to have some manner of functioning in human society. So it's like Oz without the jail cells. But they cannot leave Eden. It's run by a woman who is the mayor, who is like savage, but she has control over all of these people who are living there who have very little social redeeming value. And it's run by her, and then like her second in command that no one really respects, but like in an understated way, because it's it's her son, and they don't want to fuck with her. Her son is high functioning autistic. He has Asperger's syndrome, and so, but he's also the mailman. So it's all of these characters coming together in this last resort kind of space with these people, with this mayor who is this person that nobody wants to screw over, and this son who is like, they're waiting for his evil to come out, but he's not evil. He's just very calculating, and yeah, it comes in handy. Those are the things that I like about this series. But what turned me onto this series is the Tithe. I have been waiting for the 3rd volume of the Tithe since I read volume 2 in 2015. I'm still waiting. Yet they throw in a snippet of the fall of Eden, because, you know, there are people who just don't want this place to exist, and it's not on the map. Like, you can't find it. You have to know exactly where you're going. People who are brought there blindfolded. They don't know where it is. They don't know how to get there. They don't know how to get out. And in that little snippet are all of the characters from the Tithe, and they're looking for somebody who has been sent from the Tithe to Eden. And yeah, between that and then just being teased, between the white supremacy thing and then just being teased about the Tithe, it all just rubbed me the wrong way. I don't like what's going on with her son, whose name is totally blanking. I'm totally blanking. Mark. I kind of don't like the way that his role is going, but I kind of want to see what happens with his role. But I think this volume kind of just killed this series for me. Should have stopped at volume 3. And then the last thing that I read was The Crow Special Edition by James O'Barr. I am thinking about doing a separate review of this, because if I started talking about this now, this video would be just way freaking too long. So look out for that. I'm going to do that. I probably would do that right after I finish this. So yeah, that is all that I read for the Getting Graphic Readathon. I read all comics and graphic novels from my own stock. I did not get to the ones that I borrowed from the library. I still have Lumberjanes and Giant Days volumes to read, and the books, the graphic novels that I got from the library. So that will probably be what I focus on reading today. Not getting through all of them, but today and this week. So yeah, that's all that I have for this video. Thank you all for watching, and if you stuck this long, you're the real MVP. Have a good weekend whenever you see this video. Peace out.